my brothers and sisters, my friends across Africa, in the Arab world and around the globe, I call upon you to watch me till the end, because what I will say is not a speech of formality. It is not a collection of empty words. It is the cry of a continent, the roar of a people who refuse to be humiliated any longer, the declaration of dignity that no one, no matter how powerful, can erase. Because today I speak not only as the leader of Burkina Faso, but as a son of Africa, as a son of humanity, as one who has inherited the pain of centuries, and who now holds the duty to defend the sovereignty of nations like ours. And I speak because something happened recently that shakes not just the sands of Doha, not just the skies over Qatar, but the very foundation of what we call international order. Because last night, in the calm of the Arabian night, the skies of Doha carried an echo that should never have been heard, a violation that should never have taken place in our time, an aggression that should never have touched the land of a sovereign and independent state. And what happened in Qatar should not have happened in our world today, not in an age when humanity boasts of progress, not in a century that speaks of international law and the United Nations, not in a time when we claim to have built a system of respect and equality among nations. Because Qatar is not a land to be dictated to. It is not a land to be humiliated. It is not a land to be trampled upon by those who believe their power gives them the right to disrespect others. And I say this with clarity, because Qatar, like every other nation on this earth, has the right to security, to dignity, to sovereignty, to peace, to chart its own path without interference. And I want the world to know from this moment that we in Burkina Faso stand with Qatar, not only with words, but with our hearts, with our vision, with our solidarity, with our actions, because our relations are not mere documents signed in diplomatic halls. They are relations of respect, built in trust, relations of cooperation born in equality, relations of solidarity tested in moments of difficulty, and relations of vision that look toward the future. And I say this before the entire world. Qatar has shown Africa that partnership can be built without arrogance, without chains, without exploitation, without humiliation. And that is why I say this today with firmness. We value Qatar, we honor Qatar, we stand with Qatar, because the attack on Qatar's dignity is an attack on all of us. The violation of Qatar's sovereignty is the violation of every free people's sovereignty. And after the events of last night, I personally spoke with the ruler of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad al-Thani, and we did not speak as two leaders reading statements prepared by diplomats. We spoke as brothers, as sons of two regions who have known humiliation, but who also know dignity. And I told him that Burkina Faso stands with Qatar, that Africa stands with Qatar, that he must not bow, that he must not doubt, that he must not believe the lies of isolation, because he has friends, he has allies, he has partners who will not abandon him, who will not leave him standing in the dark, who will not allow the world to silence him. And I told him that our support is not symbolic, it is not shallow, it is not temporary, it is not a line for headlines. It is real, it is practical, it is deep, it is total. And we will stand with Qatar not only in words but in deeds, in projects, in defense, in cooperation, in unity. Because this matter is not about one nation. It is about principle. It is about the principle that sovereignty is sacred, that dignity is sacred, that independence is sacred, that respect among nations is sacred, and no power has the right to violate it. I know the threats that come from powerful capitals. I know the whispers that come from the West. I know the pressures, the warnings, the intimidation. I know the letters that are sent in secret. I know the phone calls that carry threats hidden behind polite language. And I know what they expect me to do. They expect me to remain silent, to bend my head, to avoid speaking, to be afraid of consequences. But let me make this absolutely clear before the whole world. I was not born to bow. I was not raised to surrender. I did not take this responsibility as a leader in order to kneel before arrogance. And I will not bend my knees before those who believe their armies, their money, Their influence give them the right to dictate to the rest of humanity. And I say it again, so that no one misunderstands. I will not bow, and to the people of Qatar, I say with the fullness of my heart, you are not alone. You are not in the dark. You are not isolated. You are not weak, because your strength does not come only from your economy. Though it is strong, it does not come only from your influence. Though it is important, it does not come only from your resources. Though they are valuable, your true strength comes from your dignity. Your shield is your sovereignty. Your foundation is your independence. Your weapon is your unity. And these are things that no threat, no pressure, no intimidation can erase. These are things that cannot be bought or sold, cannot be destroyed or erased, because they live in the hearts of your people. And I say to you, remain strong, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Remain firm, not because firmness brings comfort, but because firmness is the only answer to arrogance. Show the world that Qatar is not a land to be dictated to, but a nation that stands tall, a nation that knows its value, a nation that will not compromise its sovereignty. And let it be clear, not only for Qatar, but for Africa, for Asia, for Latin America, for all sovereign nations. Sovereignty is not negotiable. Dignity is not negotiable. Independence is not negotiable. And let those in Washington, in Paris, in London, in any capital where arrogance lives, understand this truth. When one nation's dignity is violated, it is a message to all, and that is why we must stand together. Because Qatar's struggle is not only Qatar's struggle, it is Africa's struggle. It is Asia's struggle. It is the struggle of every people who refuses to be treated as less than equals. And that is why I stand here today and say, Qatar, you are not alone. You will never be alone. Because dignity still has defenders, sovereignty still has guardians. Humanity still has voices that refuse to be silenced. And when I spoke with His Highness Sheikh Tamim, we did not only speak about the pain of last night, we spoke about the future. We spoke about the projects that we are building together. Projects of infrastructure, of energy, of education, of technology, of agriculture, of defense. We spoke about how our nations can create opportunities for our youth, jobs for our people, hope for our societies, how our cooperation can lift millions out of poverty, how Africa's potential and Qatar's capacity can merge into a vision that no obstacle can destroy. And I told him that when I visit Qatar, it will not be as a guest. It will not be as a stranger. It will not be as one asking for favor. It will be as a brother, as a partner, as someone who believes in building a bridge that no arrogance can break. And I repeat again for the whole world, what happened last night should not happen. It should not happen to Qatar. It should not happen to Burkina Faso. It should not happen to any sovereign nation, because the violation of skies, the disregard of sovereignty, the dismissal of law, these are things that have no place in our time. And if the world wants peace, if the world wants stability, then the world must learn that peace is not a gift from the powerful. Peace is not the privilege of the West to give to the rest. Peace is the responsibility of all, and peace cannot exist without respect, without justice, without equality, because you cannot claim to defend democracy while trampling on the sovereignty of others. You cannot claim to defend freedom while humiliating the dignity of others. And that is why I say to the world, the path forward is not arrogance. Arrogance blinds, arrogance divides, arrogance destroys. Arrogance creates wounds that no diplomacy can heal. The path forward is not domination. Domination belongs to empires. Domination belongs to the past. Domination belongs to the time of chains and slavery and humiliation. But that world is gone, and it must never return. The path forward is cooperation. Cooperation that listens as much as it speaks, that gives as much as it takes. That builds instead of exploiting. The path forward is respect. Genuine respect, not conditional respect, not selective respect, not respect for the powerful and humiliation for the weak, but respect that treats every nation as equal, every people as dignified, every culture as valuable. And the path forward is solidarity. Solidarity that makes the strong share with the weak, and the weak stand tall with the strong. Not as beggars, not as subjects, but as brothers and sisters walking the same road. Qatar has a role to play in that world. Africa has a role to play in that world. Asia has a role to play. Latin America has a role to play. Because every corner of the earth has something to give. But the only way to succeed is if we respect each other as equals. Because humanity has no masters. And I say from Ouagadougou to Doha, from Bamako to Cairo, from Accra to Riyadh, that this is the path forward, and we will walk it together. And to my youth listening across Africa, across the Arab world, across the globe, know this: the future does not belong to those who intimidate. The future does not belong to those who humiliate. The future does not belong to those who claim they are powerful. The future belongs to those who stand tall, who remain firm, who defend dignity, who protect sovereignty, who unite with others in respect and cooperation.